Hey guys, so I am doing Key Concept 2.2, Section 2, which is the European-dominated worldwide economic network contributed to the agricultural, industrial, and consumer revolutions in Europe. So basically, Europe just participates with the rest of the world so that they can build themselves up with lots of stuff. Okay, so the first section is that Europeans, they followed mercantilist policies by exploiting colonies in the New World and elsewhere. So basically, the Europeans, like an example of that would be like how England taxed all the things that the Americans had. So like how tea was taxed and just everything was taxed. So like everything that they did is taxes. So it's all about money. They just wanted more money so that they could build up their empire. So then the slave system was like this. The slave system the Europeans they went from Europe and then they would make a voyage to the African continent somewhere, and they would get their they would take slaves from around this area, and then they would take them to South America and the Americas to be for labor purposes, so that it was free labor, and that people wouldn't, so that they didn't have to pay normal people to work for them. So that's the thingy. And then, so different things like coffee was a big thing in Europe now, because it was sent over and it was one of the things that made Europe's economy boost. So they brought it from somewhere in South America, I believe, or Africa, and they brought it to Europe, and then the people started drinking it, but people were like, this is from Satan. They thought it was awful. But then they tried to get the Pope to say that too, but the Pope was like, this is really good. So he used his power, and then it was okay for people to drink and stuff. So then people started drinking coffee for breakfast instead of beer or wine, which is what they used to drink before coffee was brought over. So then the new plants were brought over from the Americas, like potatoes and tomatoes and corn also, but I couldn't find a picture with corn too. So this completely changed the Europeans' diet. Like, you think of Ireland with potatoes, but actually Ireland got the potatoes from America. They didn't have potatoes before that, but they grow really well in Ireland, so then they kind of adopted that as their new plant. And tomatoes, Italy, they wouldn't have had, if it hadn't been for America, they wouldn't have tomatoes, so then they wouldn't have, today, tomatoes are a really big part of Italian culture. So those plants and things brought from America to these different European countries made a big difference in their diet. And finally, we have goods from America and other places brought to Europe and they boosted their economic system. So, like cotton, they planted cotton in America to then be sent to Europe to be used in factories to make fabric, and then that was sent back to America. So it was a circle of trade that really boosted the Europeans' economy, but it made the American economy a lot smaller and not as great because they have to pay to grow the cotton, and then they get paid some money from Europe, but not enough to cover all of the costs. So it was good for Europe, not so good for everyone else. And that's all that I have.